The signal that shouldn't exist. Zira sat alone in the quiet radar tower, high above the surface of Velmara. Outside the window, 2 moons floated above the ocean. Below, her planet slept peacefully. No war, no danger. Nothing ever happened, here. And that's why Zira hated her job. She was only 19 rotations old, the youngest radar technician on the entire orbital team. Her shifts were always at night when everyone else was asleep. She stared at glowing dots on a dark screen. For hours. For days. Always the same. Until tonight. Beep. A single dot blinked on her screen. Zira frowned. She leaned closer. It was coming, from the outer belt. Fast, small, heading toward the planet. Probably a broken satellite, she thought. She tapped a few keys. The screen zoomed in. No. It wasn't a satellite. The shape was sharp, not round. The engine trail was bright blue. Not green like Velmaran tech. Then something strange happened. The screen flickered. New window opened automatically. Unknown frequency detected. Language Earth standard. Zira froze. Her heart stopped for a second. That couldn't be right. Earth? She tapped the translate button again. The system repeated it. Earth standard. Human origin. Zira stared at the words like they were a ghost. Humans were a myth. Ancient stories. Creatures from deep time who vanished in the Great Collapse. Her teachers had called them dangerous, violent, extinct. But now, there was a signal. Real. Clear. Getting closer, she stood up, suddenly wide awake. Commander Jex, she shouted into the comm line. This is Technician Zira on Watch Post 7. I've picked up a contact. Unknown vessel. Human signature. There was silence. Then a tired voice answered. Zira, it's the middle of cycle night. Do not disturb the command chain unless there's a... I'm serious, she snapped. This isn't a test. I have proof. A real human signal. Fast ship coming straight for the planet. Another pause. Then laughter. Did someone feed you old ghost stories again? I'm looking at it right now. Zira. Humans are a fairy tale. A bedtime scare. If you want attention, try a better story. Click. The line went dead. Zira's fists tightened. She wanted to scream, but she didn't. Instead, she stared at the screen. The dot was still coming. Fast. Faster than any Velmaran ship. She checked the time. 6 minutes to atmosphere entry. Her hands shook. This wasn't a joke. This was real. She opened a secret channel. One her mother had built when she worked at the tower years ago. A channel not connected to the main system. Mom, she whispered. Are you awake? After a pause, a voice came through. Zira, what's wrong? I found something, a ship. It's coming fast, human signal. Silence. Then her mother's voice dropped. Run a spectroscan, check the power core signature. Zira's fingers moved fast. The data appeared. When she read, her breath caught. Black core, plasma fusion, that's not ours. No, her mother said softly, that's human. Suddenly, alarms rang through the outpost. Unauthorized entry detected. Atmospheric breach in Juirio 03. The system had caught it. It wasn't just her anymore. The whole planet would see it now. But Zira had seen it first. She watched the dot speed toward the planet. The ship was trying to land. But it was damaged. The angle was wrong. Fire spread across the sensors. She opened the crash projection model. Impact. Northern Ridge Sector. Zone 12. Remote mountains. No cities, no stations, just rocks, snow, and old listening posts no longer. In use, she had a choice, stay and watch or go. Zira looked out the window one last time. Then she grabbed her glider key. Outside, the wind howled across the launch pad. Her glider hummed to life. She strapped in, eyes burning with questions. She didn't know who was in that ship. She didn't know if the stories were true. But something inside her whispered, go. See for yourself. As the small ship streaked across the sky, fire trailing from its engines, Zira flew toward the mountains. And for the first time in her life, she was chasing a myth. She sends a warning, but no one believes her. Zira flew into the wind, her hands tight on the glider's controls. The sky over Velmar Prime was calm, too calm for what was coming. Beneath her, the planet stretched wide and silent. Forests, rivers, ice, all untouched. But somewhere ahead in the mountains, a human ship was falling like a burning star, and no one believed her. Back in the capital, Command dismissed her again. They said it was a weather drone, a false ping, a ghost signal caused by radiation spikes, but Zira had seen the truth. The data didn't lie, and now, neither could she. She tapped her communicator. "Mother, it's Zira. I'm heading for Zone 12. Her mother's voice was soft but serious. "That's restricted. It was closed after the war." "There's no war. There might be now if you're right." Zira slowed her glider, steadying her breath. "I need help." There was a pause. Then her mother replied, "You'll find." The old listening post near the ridge, code 479X, still has power. I'll send your friend Tali to back you up, but only her. No one else can know. "Thank you." "And Zira?" "Yes? Be careful. If it really is a human..." Zira didn't let her finish. "I know." The mountains appeared in the distance, sharp and cold like teeth. Snow clouds gathered. The air grew thin. Then she saw it. Black smoke. A line of fire cutting across the white slopes. The crash site. Her heart beat faster. She lowered the glider near a cluster of rocks and shut down the engine. Zira moved on foot now, her boots crunching, in the snow. The trail was easy to follow, burned trees, cracked stones, melted ground. Whatever hit this place came in hot and hard. Then she saw the ship. Half buried in the side of the mountain, sharp angles, black metal. Not smooth like Velmaran tech. It was dented, broken, but still humming with life, and marked with faded words, in an old language, UNSC 83, Earth Recon. Zira's breath caught. It was real. She stepped closer, her scanner flashing red, toxic smoke. Low radiation, possible core leak, but she didn't care. She climbed onto the wreckage, moving slowly, hands shaking. A door was half open, cracked at the hinge. Inside was dark. Sparks flew from the walls. Then, a sound. Breathing. Rough, strained. She raised her, light. And there, crumpled near the controls, was a man. Tall, wounded, bleeding from the side. Human. Zira froze. Everything she'd been told said this moment could never happen. Humans were gone, or monsters, or both. But this one, he looked broken and still alive. She stepped inside. The floor creaked under her weight. The man stirred, his eyes blinked open, blue, sharp, filled with panic. He reached for something on his belt. A blade? A pulse charge? Zira raised both hands. "Stop, I'm not here to hurt you." He didn't understand. He groaned, eyes wild, coughing hard. "Stay back," he gasped. "I don't know who you are." "I'm Velmaran," Zira said slowly. "But I'm not your enemy." That made him flinch. Velmaran. He had heard the word before, and not in peace. The tension filled the room like smoke. But Zira didn't move. "I saw your signal," she said softly. "I tracked you. I think you're the first of your kind I've ever seen." The man's chest rose and fell, then he passed out. Zira checked his pulse, still strong. She exhaled in relief and whispered, "I'll keep you safe." 30 minutes later, Tali arrived at the listening post. It was small, cold and forgotten, but still had power. Zira guided the glider in and helped lift the human onto an old cot inside. "He's heavier than I thought," Tali muttered. Zira smiled slightly. "His bones are denser, that's what the old story said." Tali looked at the unconscious man. "Are you sure about this?" Zira stared at him. No longer just a story, just a person. I have to be. Back at Central Command, an alert triggered. Deep in the system, a secret one, not seen by Zira, not seen by her mother, but seen by someone old, someone waiting. Human signal confirmed. Classified priority. Action. Enforce silence. Remove threats. Zira had taken the first step into the unknown, but she didn't know yet that the real danger wasn't the human. It was those who feared what he meant. The human crashes, and she's the first to find him. The old listening post buzzed, with life for the first time in years. Dust hung in the air. The metal walls hummed. Outside, snow piled up against the windows, and inside, a human slept. Zira sat quietly across from him. She hadn't moved in hours. Her hands were cold, her heart still raced, but her eyes never left his face. He was real. Not a drawing in a history scroll, not a warning in a training video, a living, breathing man from Earth, and he was hurt. His name, she had learned from the badge on his torn armor, was Kale-07 name, Kalen D. Reese Faction, Earth Recon Defense. He had scars on his arms, burns on his side. His face was bruised but calm now. He looked peaceful, almost. Tali came in carrying a steaming pot. "You've been sitting there forever," she said. "Eat something." "I'm not hungry," Zira whispered. "You're scared." Zira didn't answer. Tali sat down next to her. "You really think he's the first, that no one else has ever met one?" Zira looked at her. "Not like this." Suddenly the human moved. His fingers twitched. His mouth opened, then his eyes snapped open. Blue, bright, sharp like a weapon. Zira stood up slowly. "Easy," she said, but he was already reaching, clumsily, for a blade on his side. Gone. He looked around, eyes darting, breathing fast. "Who are you?" he growled. Zira held up her hands. "I'm not your enemy." He blinked at her, her skin, her face, her voice. "Velmaran." He tried to sit up but groaned, grabbing his ribs. "You crashed," Zira said gently. "We brought you here." He looked at Tali. Then back to Zira. "Why didn't you report me?" Zira hesitated. "I don't want them to kill you." That made him pause. He studied her face like he was looking for a lie. "You expect me to believe that?" "No," Zira said. "But I hope you will anyway." For a long moment the room stayed silent. Then Callan leaned back slowly. "Where am I?" "Old listening station. Zone 12. Planet? Velmar Prime." He cursed under his breath. Zira stepped closer. "Do you remember what happened?" He nodded. "Engine hit. Got too close to a scout drone. I tried to steer out of range. Failed." "You were flying alone?" "No choice," he said. "Recon. Run. First deep scan past your border in over 80 years. 80? Zira's mouth fell open. "You've been watching us?" He didn't smile, but he didn't deny it either. "We thought humans were extinct." "We're not," Callan said quietly. "We just learned to disappear." Tali frowned. "Why come back now?" Callan's eyes darkened. "Because your empire keeps expanding. Every year. Closer. Earth isn't hidden anymore. So we sent scouts. Me." He looked at his broken armor. "Didn't go well." Zira sat down again. "You're safe now." Callan's eyes met hers. "No one's safe." They talked for hours after. That about Velmaran laws, about Earth's silence, about myths, lies, and forgotten wars. But somewhere between the fear and the stories, Zira saw something unexpected. Not a soldier, not a killer, just a man who wanted to go home. That night she brought him food. He didn't eat much, but he smiled, just a little. "You're different," he said. Zira raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "You. Listen. Most of your kind. They talked about us like monsters." She looked away. "Most of my kind don't believe you exist." He chuckled. "Surprise." Outside, snow fell harder, and deep beneath the capital, a hidden council saw the signal. The truth had leaked and the order was clear. If the humans survived, erase everything, including those who helped him. But in that quiet station, far from power, Zira didn't know. She only knew one thing. The myth was real, and he wasn't what they said. He was more. He wakes up and doesn't trust her. The human didn't sleep, much after the first night. Even when his body gave out, his mind stayed alert, listening, watching. Every creak in the old station made his hand twitch toward a weapon that wasn't there. Zira noticed. She said nothing. She only brought food, cleaned his bandages, and stayed close enough for him to see, but never close enough to feel trapped. One morning, as the snowstorm cleared outside, he sat up straighter on the cot. Zira stood by the window, warming her hands by a small heater. She turned, sensing his eyes. "You're healing well," she said. Callan didn't smile. "How do I know this isn't a setup?" Zira didn't flinch. "If it were, you'd already be dead." He looked away. "Fair point." She walked slowly toward the table and placed a small device in front of him. It was old, worn, human-made. A recorder. Callan blinked. "Where did you get this?" "My mother collected pre-collapse tech. She said it was illegal to keep, so she kept it." He picked it up, turned it over in his hand. "Dust, rust, earth design." "Press it," she said. He did. The device flickered to life. A voice spoke. Old, male, tired. "This is Captain Marius Reese. Earth Recon, year 3127. If you're hearing this, we didn't make it back." Kalen's breath caught. He knew that voice. "My father," he whispered. Zira stepped back. "You said no one believed you," she said softly. "I want to." But Kalen's eyes narrowed again. "This changes nothing. You could still be playing me." Zira's chest tightened. "What would I gain?" "Access to Earth, human tech, weapons. I've never left this planet." "Exactly. You don't know what your leaders want." Silence stretched between them. Then Callan looked out. The window. Snow was melting on the hills. "I've heard what your kind says about us." Zira stepped beside him. "What do you mean?" He turned. "You call us ghosts, monsters. You teach your children we destroyed the stars." She looked down. "That's true. In school they said humans burned their own worlds, started the collapse, then vanished." "And what do you believe?" Zira hesitated. "I believed the story until I saw you bleed." Kalen's expression shifted, a little softer, still sharp, but less closed. He reached under the cot and pulled out a small metal case. Inside was a single object, a coin. Simple, old. One side had Earth's fractured continents. The other read, "We remember what they forgot." He tossed it to her. Zira caught it. "What is this?" "Proof," he said, "that we never stopped watching. We just stopped trusting." Later that night, Zira stood outside the station, watching the stars. Tali came beside her. "He doesn't trust you." "I know. He probably never will." Zira looked at the sky. "I don't need his trust. I just need his truth." Tali sighed. "Be careful. Curiosity started more wars than greed ever did." Inside, Callan sat alone, turning the coin over in his hands. He had seen hundreds of species, dozens of planets. He'd fought things no one would believe. But this girl, this quiet, curious alien, had broken more of his defenses than any battle. And that scared him, because trust was dangerous, and he hadn't trusted anyone since Earth died. Then the lights flickered. Outside, the alarms buzzed. Zira rushed inside. "What's wrong?" Callan stood, his eyes wide. "They found me." Zira's blood turned cold. "Who?" Callan's jaw clenched. "Not your people. Mine." Far above Velmar Prime, a cloaked human recon cruiser shimmered into existence. It had received his distress ping, and it didn't know yet that he wasn't alone. The Empire sends soldiers, and she stands in their way. The snow had stopped falling by morning. The wind was calm, but the tension inside the station felt like a storm. Zira stood beside Callan, her back straight, heart pounding. "They're coming, aren't they?" she asked. Callan didn't look up from the scanner. 2 Velmaran patrol ships just broke orbit, no comm signals. That means they were told to stay silent. How long? Maybe 1 hour. Tali stepped in from the side room. "We have nothing to fight with." "I know," Callan said. "That's the part that worries me." Zira stared at the flickering monitor. Her people were sending soldiers, not to help, to clean up. "Maybe if I talk to them," she began. "They won't listen," Tali said. "They're not coming to ask questions. They're coming to erase them." Zira took a shaky breath. "Then I need to make them stop." Callan turned to her. "You want to stand between me and a trained hit squad?" "No," she said. "I want to stand between a lie and the truth." An hour later, the snow was ankle deep again. Zira stood outside the station, her cloak pulled tight. Behind her, Callan watched from the shadows. Tali stood near the old relay tower, ready to boost the signal if needed. And then, a silver ship appeared in the sky, sleek, silent, deadly. It landed without sound. The hatch opened. 4 soldiers stepped out. Black armor, no colors, no badges. Only shadows. The lead soldier stepped forward. "Technician Zira," he said. "Step away from the structure." "There's no threat here," she replied. "The signal was a mistake. The ship was old, broken. There's nothing inside worth your time." The soldier didn't blink. "You are in violation of protocol. This zone is restricted. You are ordered to leave." Zira's voice shook, but she didn't move. "There's a man inside. A human. He's alive." The second soldier raised his weapon slightly. "Then you are confirmed as compromised." Zira's heart dropped. So that was it. No trial. No questions. Just erase. She took 1 step forward. "No one has to die today. You are not in command." "No," she said, her voice growing stronger. "But I've seen what you fear. I've looked him in the eyes. He's not what you were told. He doesn't want war." The lead soldier tilted his head. "Truth doesn't matter. Orders do." He raised his hand. That was the signal. Then, Callan stepped out, no weapons, no armor, just his presence. "I surrender," he said loudly. "Leave her alone." All 4 soldiers turned. For a moment, just a breath, they hesitated, because he was real, not a hologram, not a ghost, a human, alive, and standing between them. Zira gasped. "What are you doing?" Callan didn't look at her. "Ending this before it starts." The lead soldier raised his pulse rifle. And then, Zira moved, not away, in front of Callan. "Fire on him," the soldier said. Zira's voice cut through the air. "If you shoot, everyone will know." The soldier paused. "What?" "I sent a message through the relay tower," she said. "Live. Public channel, open net." The soldier's mask twitched. "You're bluffing." Tali's voice came through the static speaker. "No, she's not." And then it played. Callan's voice, Zira's voice, the story. Broadcasting now, everywhere. For the first time, the soldiers didn't move. They waited. One of them lowered their weapon slightly. "We're not killers," the fourth said. "We were told it was a danger," another whispered. The leader looked between them, then back at Zira and lowered his hand. No shot. Silence. Snow fell again. Zira looked at Callan. Callan looked at her, and in that quiet, snowy space between 2 species, a war didn't happen because one girl stepped forward and refused to stand down. Later, back inside the station, Callan finally sat down. "You could have died." Zira looked at him. "But I didn't." He nodded slowly. "You're braver than most humans I knew," she smiled. "And you're softer than the stories." They didn't laugh, but their eyes did. Far across the system, deep in a secure chamber, a report was received. "Contact, human confirmed." Suppression failed. Public. Transmission spreading fast. The Admiral of the Velmaran High Council read the final line. They didn't fear him. They followed her. He shows her what humanity really is. The storm had passed. The soldiers had left. The transmission had gone galaxy-wide. But Zira knew the real weight of what happened hadn't even begun to settle. Inside the station, Callan sat on the floor with his back against the wall, the small coin he always carried resting in his palm. He stared at it, turning it slowly between his fingers, lost in silence. Zira sat across from him. She had questions, but she didn't speak. Not yet. Callan was ready first. "Do you want to know the truth?" he asked. Zira nodded. "Not the version your schools taught. Not the rumors that float in space bars. I want to know what you know," she said softly. Callan reached into his bag and pulled out a small black box. "It's old tech," he said. "Pre-collapse. We salvaged it from one of the Mars archives." He pressed a button. A hologram flickered to life. Fuzzy. Wavering. Then, it sharpened. A city in ruins. Towers fallen. Fire in the sky. And voices crying. Not angry, not loud, but tired. Afraid. "This was Earth," he said. Zira's throat tightened. "It looks broken." It was. He showed her more. A short video of people living, underground, sharing food, drawing stars on walls. Then, footage of an announcement, a council, a decision. Project Hollow Sky. "We left," he explained. "Not because we lost, but because we learned. Every war we fought made us louder, harder, and emptier. So we went silent. We left Earth to rest. We erased our signal. We became ghosts. But why? To wait. To see if the galaxy learned what we didn't." Zira looked at the old footage. Children singing under flickering lights. "Your people, they weren't monsters." "No," Callan said. "Just people. Just tired." He leaned forward, his voice quiet. "You asked me once why I didn't trust you." She nodded. "I've seen too many species claim peace while building bombs. I've seen planets talk about harmony while enslaving their moons." Zira flinched. "Velmar has done that." Callan looked at her gently. "But you didn't." Zira stood and paced the small room. "My mother told me humans were chaos. Fire. Rage." Callan chuckled. "We were. But now." He nodded. "Now, we remember." Zira turned to him. "So why come back?" Callan's face turned serious again. "We started seeing the signs. Expansion fleets, new mining colonies, quiet raids. We weren't sure who it was, but it smelled like a buildup." Zira swallowed. "Velmar, and others," he added. "But your people were the closest, so I came to observe. Alone. Quiet. And now everything's changed." They sat in silence again. The hologram still played. Flashes of art painted in caves, poems written on stone, lullabies recorded in dying languages. Zira touched the edge of the image. "This isn't what we were told." Callan stared at the light on her face. "I know." He opened a second file. This one wasn't a broadcast. It was a personal recording. A woman. Dark hair. Sharp eyes. Sitting in a metal room. "My name is Captain Lyra Reese," she said. "This is for the child I'll never meet." Callan didn't blink. Zira looked at him. "Your mother?" He nodded. The voice continued. "If one day a human stands before another world, not to claim it, but to offer something better, then we didn't vanish. We became something stronger." Tears touched the corner of Zira's eyes. "You came, here for more than recon." Callan nodded slowly. "I came looking for hope." Later that night, they sat outside the station. The stars above were bright, endless. Zira asked, "Do you think your people will come for you?" Callan stared at the sky. "They're already watching. And will they come in peace?" He turned to her. "That depends. On what?" "On what I tell them about you." Zira smiled faintly. "Then I hope I've shown you something worth believing in." Callan looked into her eyes. You have. Across the planet, in secret rooms, leaders panicked. Some demanded silence. Some begged for truth. But in quiet corners, on screens, in homes, across stars, millions watched a human and an alien sitting side by side, not as enemies, but as a mirror. And they whispered the question no one had dared say in centuries. What if the humans never left? They thought humans were extinct. Now they know the truth. The stars above Velmar Prime shimmered like cold fire. From space, the planet looked calm, but far below in hidden chambers and open streets, no one was calm anymore. Because the signal had spread. The image of a human, alive, breathing, speaking, was now on screens across 1,000 worlds, and with him stood a girl, a Velmaran, not afraid, not armed, standing beside him. The High Council of Velmar met in silence. The Elder Commander slammed a fist on the table. He's a spy. Another growled. He's proof of Earth's return. But the Queen Mother of Velmar leaned back, her voice soft. He's not the threat. It's what he represents. And what's that? Someone asked. She looked up. Hope. Back in Zone 12, the station buzzed with new life. A message had arrived from Earth encrypted. Direct Zero watched as Kalen decoded it on a small glowing screen. One word appeared. Ready? Kalen didn't smile. He didn't move. He just stared. Zira stepped beside him. They want to know if you're coming back? He nodded. And what will you say? Kalen didn't answer right away. He walked outside, snow crunching under his boots, wind brushing his face. Then he looked up, at the sky, at the stars, at the space that once swallowed Earth whole, and whispered, I'm not done here. Zira followed. You could leave now. Be safe. Hide again. I know. But you won't. No? Why? Kalen looked at her. Because the galaxy finally remembered us, and it's time they know what we've become. The next day, Zira made the biggest decision of her life. She stood in front of a live camera, face uncovered, voice steady. My name is Zira, daughter of Council Engineer Lin, technician of Outpost 7, and I was the first to see the human. She paused. He didn't attack. He didn't lie. He didn't ask for war. He asked to be heard. She looked into the lens. I listened. Within hours, the reaction was wildfire. Some cheered, some cursed. Some planets demanded peace talks. Others called it a trick. But no one could ignore it anymore. Humanity was real, and it had survived. In a grand hall on Earth's hidden moon base, elders of the Human Council gathered around a screen. They watched the girl. They watched Kalen beside her. And they listened. The first elder nodded slowly. After all this time, they came to us not with guns but with a girl. He smiled. And we're going to meet her. A week later, a silver Earth vessel arrived in Velmaran orbit. It did not cloak. It did not threaten. It asked to land, not as a conqueror, as a guest. When Kalen stepped out of the ship with Zira beside him, the entire plaza went still. Velmaran soldiers watched from rooftops, citizens watched from windows, and slowly, one by one, they stepped forward, not to fight, to see, to know, to finally believe. Zira stood on the platform beside Kalen. She held no title, no power, only her voice. And that was enough. This man didn't bring destruction, she said. He brought truth. She turned to him and nodded. Now it was his turn. Kalen looked at the people, at the fear still hiding in their eyes, at the doubt clinging to their robes, and said, we were gone, not dead. We waited. We watched. We hid because we had to. But we didn't forget. He held up the coin he always carried. Not a weapon, not a symbol of war, just memory. Humans don't return to rule. We return to remind you. He looked at Zira. That we were never just myth. We were you once. Broken. Afraid. And still standing. The people didn't cheer. They didn't shout. They just listened. And sometimes, that's louder than anything. Later, That night, Zira and Callan sat under the open stars, away from cameras and questions. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Do you still think it was an accident? Your crash? He smiled. No. I think it was a beginning. And across the galaxy, one by one, new stories began to rise. Not of fear, not of war, but of two people. One from Earth, one from Velmar, and the quiet, impossible moment when the myth spoke.